ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire.
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and welcome. February 6th, it's Friday, the final Super Bowl show between me and Scott. It seems like we've been talking about this game for months. That's what happens when you have a week off in between, but it's here. How many times can we break this thing down? I mean, I've seen a lot of people in our lane saying, oh my God, I've talked about this game so much. And I live at my backdrop here, about 55 minutes from the stadium. That's all you turn, every station, every whatever. Felger Maz on Radio Row. I was there 2 years ago in Vegas. Wish I was there this year, but it is what it is. Hey, you know, it's a balmy 15 degrees here on Cape Cod. 3 to 5, 5 to 8 inches of snow tomorrow, and -7 degrees on Sunday. So it is what it is. But we're going to talk some final thoughts from Scotty on the big game itself. Currently, right now, I'll use the circa. Good morning, Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens. 4.5 of the 45 at our good friends at the Superbook. They are a flat 5 and 45.5. Seeing some 5s with Chris Andrew. Good morning, Chris, at the South Point with a 45.5. I think by kickoff, most markets will have it at 5. Now, whether it's 45 or 45.5 there. So we'll talk about it. We'll pick Scotty's brain one more time. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy, myself, Amber Hawley, Carol, Bucks, Jacob, Drew, Matt Chappelle, Allen. The list is endless. Go download the app now. Head on over to X. Follow the WagerWire community at WagerWire. I promise it'll be the best thing you did for 2026 and beyond. And, of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Terry Smith has done wonders. Been good friends with him for years. Steak, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. Terry does it all. I know you've heard of Omaha, Butcher Blocks. Listen, the quality here is even better, and the customer service, he knocks it out of the park. So go see Terry Smith on Facebook and then head on over to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scott Webb. Morning, champ.
Hey, man. Believe it or not, I didn't do anything with football yesterday. Of course, obviously I made my bets, but, you know, watched the lines a little bit, that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's WBC day for me. You know, they released all the rosters and all the stuff, so I'm just digging into all that. I think there's 20 teams, and I think there's like 3 or 4 of them you don't even need to worry about just because there's nobody players. But I'm digging into all that stuff, and I'm almost ready to start doing some stuff. Use my new Substack and put stuff out there and do all kinds of crazy shit.
Stay on baseball because I saw all the rosters coming up and I thought of you immediately. We'll get to the WBC after. We'll stay in the MLB. Listen, the Detroit Tigers. What we thought would happen happened. Scooble wins the arbitration case, so now they got two horses making 30+ million each with Framber and Scooble, of course. Now, what happens to Scooble the rest of the year? I think, in my eyes, Detroit has decided, hey, you guys in our division haven't done enough. Let's go this route. And they'll use Framber, who has some opt-outs after year 2 and 3. We don't know what's going to happen in 27. But if Scooble goes to free agency, and obviously if he does, he probably won't make it back to Detroit, at least we have an ace to hang our hat on, Scotty.
Yeah, they're just gonna, that's they're moving on. We're moving on. If we're not, it's a weird deal for Scooble because Scooble is not a young kid. Johns, he's been around a little bit. I think. Let me double check. I think he's turning 30. Let me look just to make sure. He's 29 years and 2 months, so he's going to be 30. So what do you pay the guy? I mean, they're talking 40 million a year for this guy, and how many years are you going to go for that? And how long is he going to be able to do what he's doing? He's not Skeens, and what I mean by that is Skeens way younger and has accomplished more already, and Skeens is going to be the guy you want to tie your horse to, because you can give that guy a 10-year contract. But you can't do that with Scooble because he's not going to last that long. But the weird spot for people.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I think it's a weird spot because when you're 30 years old, your life expectancy is what, 4 or 5 more years?
It's funny because as a Red Sox fan, we were in that similar situation, 30/31, and I'm not comparing the two, but this is the start was John Lester, and we were balking with Lester back and forth, and he ends up going to the Cubs. And the funny thing is, his career with the Cubs, his numbers all across the board were almost identical to what he did in Boston. So he was one of those guys that as he got older, when pitchers got older, they got sharper and wiser. We go back to the real days, the Maddoxes, the Atlanta Braves, the Smoltz and stuff. Hey, I can't throw as hard as I used to, but I can be smarter. And Smoltzy, it was Glavine, I think it was, and Smoltz would start in the first 2 innings, a quarter of an inch off the corner of the plate, and by the 4th, 5th inning, they're a full inch, but it's the mind here. So in a Scooble, in a perfect world, hey, I'll pay you 45 per, but I'm only going to pay you for 4 years with an option. Well, he's looking for a lot more than that. And as for Paul Skeens, listen, there's going to be every big market team trying to pry him away from Pittsburgh. And you talk about holding him ransom. And I can't even imagine he'll be the highest paid pitcher in history if someone makes a trade and then does a contract for him.
I don't think there's any question. I mean, and he's the right guy to tie your horse to. He trains well. His mental focus is there. He's great in the community, all of that stuff. So look, I don't want to disparage Tariq Scooble. That's not what I'm trying to do, because he's a two-time Cy Young Award winner or whatever. I mean, he's a great pitcher. But when you're 30 years old and you're looking for a new contract and you're going to want as much as he's going to want, they're going to have to figure out how to pay that. So they try to stretch that stuff out and do different things and all this other stuff and defer money and blah, blah, blah. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with how the new rules are going to be all put in place and all that stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Scooble. But I think in the big picture of things, look, they got a manager there, AJ Hinch, that's worked with Framber before. So it's not like he doesn't know the guy, and it's not like Framber doesn't know him. So there's a comfort level there. Maybe there wasn't a comfort level to go to Baltimore and stuff. So I get it. There's probably a similar amount of money, maybe a little more. I don't know. I didn't see what the other bid was, the losing bid there, but It couldn't have been too much different because I think they're all kind of about the same. The Mets were in there, and a lot of teams were in on that stuff. But I think Framber's really, really, really going to help the Tigers. I tell you what, my opinion, and not that matters, because certainly Baltimore didn't listen. Baltimore needed him. They needed him more than Zach Gallen. They needed him more than any other pitcher on the market to compete in the National League East. They got the offense. They don't have that guy that can take the ball and just be the guy. They think Kyle Bradish is the guy, but he's just not. So anyway, he's got stuff like that. He can be good. I'm not saying Kyle Bradish is not a good pitcher. He's a number 2. Trevor Rogers is number 3. All of that stuff. So anyway, I think that Detroit made their decision. I think Detroit basically said, hey, we're not going to keep Skubal. We don't have a chance to keep Skubal. We already know that. So when Skubal leaves, we got our ace.
I want to bring this up, Scotty, and I'm going to try to enlarge it, hopefully. What's going on here? Here we go.
You got circa numbers?
Yes, and I just went dark, so hold on 1 second. We had a bear with me here.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, now we can't hear him. We lost him. So you guys get to watch me drink coffee.
There we go.
I was entertaining him by drinking coffee, Jeff.
Well, I lost everyone that was watching, so they're going to have to come back here. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. So Circa posted them yesterday, and it is kind of small here. I don't know if you can see it or read it, or go to Circa on X.
I've got it already saved in one of my things here. I can go look at it real fast.
Circa posts the division winners. Yankees plus 190, Blue Jays 265, Red Sox 310, Orioles 425, and your Rays 2860. Tigers plus 145, Royals plus 195, Mariners plus 110, Astros 270, Rangers 305. So in the American League, where my eyes initially would flock, obviously, I like the Orioles at plus 425. I would definitely be in on your Tigers plus 145. Mariners plus 110. I get it, but I might take a bite of the apple on the Rangers at plus 305. Again, just initial thoughts, looking for some, and I hate to use this word, but some value shopping, Scotty, on February 6th.
Yeah, well, if I look at my numbers, and again, I'm still waiting on one thing to drop here, so these aren't, quote, official, but they're probably reasonably close. I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot of discrepancy in what I have now versus what's going to come out when I'm done. But just looking at them, and where I think so, like I think Baltimore's a lot closer to the leader of the pack than where they're priced. I think the Red Sox are closer than like. I'm not sold on the Yankees. I just want people to realize how good the Yankees were last year because people are just dismissing them. They won as many games as anybody in the American League, and when it comes to base runs, they're the only team that had 100 wins. So they're a really good team. That said, they've got some things to overcome, and I think that these other teams, and I hate to say it this way, but yeah. Toronto's got really good on pitching, but they're not as good on offense as they were a year ago. They lose the shortstop there, and then I don't think that Springer's going to be as good as he was a year ago. So maybe they pick up some of that with Guerrero being better than what he was in terms of home runs. He had a lot of nice hits and RBIs and stuff. Maybe Barger turns into a superstar or something. And they get Santander, and who knows what they're going to get from him. So I think that's just a weird. And Boston's the same way. They got a lot of pitching, and then they got no offense. as much as they could have. If they would have went and got some players. So I think that being said, Baltimore fits right in there. I think Tampa Bay's kind of out and lost left field this year. Their team seems to be a below 500-ish team, and so I don't think I'd go anywhere near them. But I do like the idea that you got Orioles, Red Sox, at least in the mix, and I don't think that there's a problem with that. You're at this point you're getting good prices. If say the Orioles were to actually go get a Zach Gallen, or I'm just making this up, or make a trade and get a number one kind of pitcher, and I don't know if Zach Gallen's really a number one, but he could match up to a lot of that stuff. So if you did that, I think the numbers are going to change. So this will be the best price that you could get on the Orioles, as far as I'm concerned. So then in the American League, look, there's no competition for the Tigers. You can tell me all you want to about the Royals. I think Reagan's is going to do really well. I think he's going to come back. He came back a little bit towards the end of last year, off his Tommy John surgery, and so I think he's going to be good. So Reagan's can kind of match a little bit of what the Tigers can throw out there, but they can't match the rest of it, and they don't have an offense. So look, the Guardians. If I was looking at that chart right there, the Twins are mispriced. Yeah, they are. They're plus 1,000, and the Guardians are plus 365, and the Guardians are terrible. So, I think that's a mispriced number. And then in the American League West, you brought up Seattle, and the way my numbers looks, Seattle and they're going to be right there to have the best record in the American League. So I don't want to bet against them. I don't mind say Texas, but a lot of things have to go good for Texas. They need their pitchers to pitch, and they're going to need to pitch extra special, and then they're going to need their offense to finally go, like it did the year when they went to the World Series, because they've taken way steps back. So I think that one is a little far stretched. I don't know what people see in the Astros. So the Astros have no pitchers, so they're not going to match up well with a lot of these teams. So I think Texas has a better chance to beat out the Astros, but I don't think the Astros have much of a chance to beat out anybody else.
No, I agree. It's Seattle's to win or lose. In the National League, I'm doubling down. Last year, we had more doilies and dartboards on the Braves. It's all going to come down to health with that team, but I look for a resurgence there. So I do like them at plus 180. They have the same number as the Mets. They have the Phillies plus 195. I'm kind of going to go out on a limb, finally get some regression, I think, on the Phillies there. In the Central, Cubs plus 120, Brewers 225. I got to go back at the Apple. I know they don't have as much firepower, but again, the Reds are plus 375. Offensively, can play with anyone. They were inconsistent offensively last year. They have some horses pitching. My love affair for Tito there at plus 375. And the comedy is the NL West. Listen, Dodgers plus 1,100. I'm sorry, minus 1,100. Padres plus 1,150. Diamondbacks 2,950 with the Giants 2,950. And the Rockies at plus 60,700. I think there needs to be a 1 in front of the Rockies there, but good job there, Mr. Benson. But again, just looking again, Braves for me, Reds for me. Listen, I'm a Giants fan at 2,950. Are they going to win the West? No, but I'd rather take a swing at them at 2,950, believe it or not, or the Diamondbacks versus, obviously, you're not going to lay the chalk on the Dodgers there. And I think the Padres might get to that point at the All-Star break where they might cut some more payroll. I'm not, a Mason Miller. Maybe they finally move on from Tatis or something. So thoughts in the National League, Scotty?
Well, I think what's great about the National League is the National League East, and you got the Mets. Mets did quite a bit of shaking and moving around, and nobody knew what the hell they were doing at the first, and then they got some players, and now everybody's all happy and satisfied. Jorge Polanco is a good player, but he like really, that's going to be the big driver that makes the Mets really good. Come on, man. Like so. Look, I like what the Mets did. I think the Mets are decent. They're going to lose a lot. Pete Alonso's not there. There's a 40 home run guy that goes out there 162 times a year, plays great. Well, I don't know if he plays great, but he tries really hard. He's real into the games, and they're going to miss that. He's a 100 RBI guy. You just can't go get those guys and go replace them. So I think when you think about the Mets, they did a lot of stuff, and I talk about this a lot. If you think the Mets won, the offseason by all the stuff they did and all the brand new pieces, it doesn't work like that. What I mean by that is it takes a little bit for all those guys to work together and work as a team and all that stuff. And I hate to say it this way, but they got Soto and Lindor, and I don't know that Soto and Lindor even work together. So when it comes to how all that stuff plays together, I don't know how it's going to work for them. And they didn't go out really and change their pitching enough. They're going to be deep. They got a lot of pitchers. So we'll see what happens with the Mets. I think the Mets are good. And then Atlanta, I don't know what to think of this team. I was all about them last year, and then they got hurt, and then they fell apart, and then they got I don't know who pitched for them at the end, but they got all kinds of different guys that played. And I don't know what the third baseman's going to do when he comes back. If he can hit 30, 40 home runs and hit 250 or something like that, that's pretty good. They seem to be, in my mind, a very streaky offense, except for Acuna. Acuna is really good. But the rest of them, they go in their spurts. The first baseman goes on his spurts for a couple of weeks, and then the next guy goes on a spurt for a couple of weeks, and they're never all together. And they can't do anything. So it's frustrating to watch that team. But at the same time, I think they're really good. They got good players. I think and this might sound a little goofy, but I think Ozzie Albies is the guy that's got to turn it back on. He was off. Something wrong with him. And he was, sort of a stir for that team and a really good player. Well, batting ninth last year. He's not very good. So when I really think about, the Braves, the offense is going to be like that. And then you got to go, well, is Schwellenbach going to be any good? Is Chris Sale still good? What's Spencer Strider like coming back from his arm? Reynaldo Lopez, all these guys coming back from their arms falling off. They got to staple gun back together and see if they work. So I like the Braves, but I think there's a lot of questions about the Braves. I think there's a lot of questions about the Mets. There's no questions in my mind about the Phillies. I think the Phillies are a team that could have used that guy from Toronto,
Bo Bichette.
Bo Bichette. If they would have got Bo Bichette, I'd be all in on Phillies. All in. The Phillies needed a refresh guy. They didn't get it. They're trying to get rid of Castellanos, and nobody wants him. So I don't know what they're going to do with that guy. He's going to get cut, Jeff. They're not going to. He's just going to get cut. Hey, we don't need you anymore. Out the door he goes. So they got this guy in center field, Crawford, that's going to play for them this year, and maybe he's the guy that's the refresh piece. I don't know, but I certainly would have rather had Bo Bichette there, a guy that's led the American League in hits for 2 years, had 200 plus hits several times already in his career. So I would have rather had that guy. I didn't get that guy. They didn't get, they don't have, they lose Ranger Suarez. That's a big deal. And then they don't know what's going to be going on with Zach Wheeler. I mean, they do. He's going to come back, but what's he going to pitch like? So, and then, you can say what you want to, but Aaron Nola was not very good last year. So, now if you go back and look at Aaron Nola's numbers, and he's the weirdest guy I've ever seen do this, but he's bad one year and great the next, and bad one year and great the next. And I can't figure that out. He's the same shit. What, you can't hit his curveball 1 year and the next year you can. So Aaron Nola's, I don't know what to think. I think that's a team that needed a shakeup and didn't go. I get all that. They had to have Schwarber back. I get all of those things. And they're a really good team still. Maybe Bryce Harper gets a little juiced by playing in the WBC and he gets all blah, 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 and goes crazy like an MVP kind of player. So I don't know. That to me is going to be the most fun besides the American League East. Those two, it's going to be fun to watch all that stuff because they're just going to beat the crap out of each other. Is what's going to happen. And I don't know. The numbers are plus 180, plus 180, plus 195. I think that's probably reasonable. My numbers are I've got the New York Mets at 89.9 wins. I don't know how they get points. 89.9. Atlanta's 88.6. Philadelphia's 88. Same kind of concept. It's real close there. So in the Central, it's all Cubs. It's all Cubs. I know Milwaukee played really well last year. I know they did a lot of stuff. I'm not betting Milwaukee this year. They lost their best pitcher. I mean, he just got traded. So he went to the Mets. So, Peralta's gone. So that kid, Marowski or whatever his name is, the guy that comes up there and throws 100 miles an hour. Look, it was fun to watch all that. But, you got to control that. And you got to be able to pitch the number of innings. You got to be able to – and he's a young kid still. So I'm not counting on him to be anything more than kind of an average pitcher in terms of results. So Milwaukee, here's what I think. I know you like the Reds. Data-wise, statistically-wise, that Eugenio Suarez signing didn't help them. And it was amazing to me because I thought this guy was – going to really help them, but theoretically it didn't really help them that much. The Pittsburgh Pirates are a team that I think I don't know if they get past Milwaukee. I really like my numbers right now say they're 80-win team. And that's pretty good for a team that's never in anything, but they got 80 wins. My numbers say Cincinnati's a 79 team. So the same ballpark, but look at the pricing. Look at the pricing from the Reds to the Pirates. And I think the Pirates are the most out of line price there. I think I would if I was going to make a bet that way, I would bet Pirates over Reds. And no, that doesn't mean that the Reds can't go out and make a deal, but I don't know that they will. I think if they wanted to get like Schwarber, they would have got him. So that said, I think if the Pirates wanted Eugenio Suarez, they would have got him. So, these guys are all retarded in terms of how they do their business. I will say that, the Reds they are deeper in terms of pitching. But, man, the Pirates got Skeens at the top, and Jones is coming back, and Jones can pitch with anybody. And they got the other guy that they have been there forever, whatever his name is.
Keller?
Keller, yeah, Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller kind of fell apart last year, but he's not a fall apart pitcher. He's pretty good. So I think when you really think about and then they focused on offense. They went out and got some pieces from the Rays and some other places. They got Brandon Lowe now. Well, Brandon Lowe is probably the best hitter they got. So when it comes to what Pirates have done, they've done a lot to make themselves better. And I think they will show that. And I think, they got a new manager. They got all kinds of stuff going on over there. So I like the Pirates. I think they got some momentum. And I think that when you see kind of the pricing that they're at, I think that you should bet them. Now, that said, can you realistically think a plus 1,000 is going to get there? I don't know. Are they better than the Cubs? Probably not. They're not even close to what the Cubs are. And if the Cubs really need to go fix something, they will. But remember, the Cubs lost Tucker. So how good are the Cubs? They don't have an ace either. So, what are the Cubs? But the Cubs are better. They got a deeper lineup. They got Bregman. They play really good defense. So I like what the Cubs have compared to everybody else in the division. That's for sure. And in the National League West, it's all Dodgers. Everybody else is playing for second. So in this format, what we're looking at, just winning the division there, I wouldn't bet any of them teams. But I will say this: the Padres are are overpriced, and the Giants are probably underpriced. Meaning that I think the Giants are better than plus 29.50 compared to the Padres at plus 11.50. We talked about it the other day off stage. I think it was that I think, and I agreed with what a bet that somebody made. I heard already that they made a bet that San Diego Padres to miss the playoffs plus 130. If you can get the Padres plus any money to miss the playoffs, it's not a bad bet, because you know where they're going to come from. There's going to be three of them come out of the NL East. One is the Cubs, one is the Dodgers. So then you're going to have Brewers. I don't know, you Reds, Pirates, Padres, Diamondbacks, Giants, all fighting for one spot. And so is the Padres the best of that group? I don't think they are. They don't have the pitching to be the best of that group. So that said, I think it's a good bet. Miss the playoffs altogether, Padres.
No, I agree. And I wanted to bring that up. I thought of you immediately. Let's get out of this screen here. Give you a few minutes, Scotty, on the rosters came out. Was it Puerto Rico insurance problems? Listen, I remember last Classic, Edwin Diaz jumping on the mound after a save and did something to his knee, done for the year. These are some big time players, big time contracts, and these insurance companies to have to, it's funny. Every time you go to buy something, do you want to pay for the insurance? I used to pay for the insurance, and every time I needed to go and get funded by the insurance or get a new product, it was like jumping through hoops. You had to give them your third child and your blah, blah, blah. So my point is, hey, listen, there are numbers that say pitchers that pitch in the World Baseball Classic are more susceptible to injuries and don't pitch as well during that season. Same with some of the players. It's like a perfect example is James Wood from the Nationals having a banner year. What's he do? He decides to play in the home run derby in the All-Star game. We know what happens when you take those 500 hacks and looking for launch angle for home runs. You don't do much in the second half, a la James Wood and a few others. So again, it's okay. I know your heart's there. You wanted to play, but you just can't get insured. So get your ass to spring training, Scotty.
Yeah, there's I don't know how to say this. I think most of the people here in the States see this stuff as just normal behavior. I mean, that's, protect your risk investment. And then the people that are actually on the islands are sitting there going, oh, woe is me. These guys are picking on us and blah, blah, blah. Our best players can't play because they got to rig the system and all this other stuff. That's what you hear. So whatever you want to believe, that's up to you. At this point, the reality becomes, I don't give a shit. I need to know what the rosters are so I can make numbers, right? I need to know how good these teams are. So all the crybaby bullcrap about who's playing, who's not playing, that's over. So that's great. In my mind, it's at least now you know who's playing. And I will say this. Here, let me pull up Puerto Rico for just a second. And here's what I do. I have their whole roster. It's on a spreadsheet. And then I do some work around that, so I know how good these players are and where they come from and how long they've been playing and if they played, in the Major League Baseball or not and stuff like that. So here's how this works. So I set this up where okay, a lot of people go out and they go, well, WAR, right? So wins above replacement. That's a really good measure for this kind of thing, because you can compare one guy to the next guy, and get a fair assessment no matter what position it is. So what is WAR? Well, WAR is wins above replacement. Now I know everybody knows they've heard that term before, but what does it mean? What does it mean, win above replacement? Well, a replacement is a guy that's in the minor leagues that you call up to say, hey, I need you to fill in for while this guy's hurt and then go back down to the minor leagues. That's a replacement. So how many wins can you be better than that guy? That is what it is. Wins above replacement. And then it's gathered up and you okay, every data point and all this stuff kind of gives you a total. This guy's better than a replacement player by this many wins. And then you can compare player to player. So it's a pretty good analysis, but it misses a lot. And what I mean by misses a lot is it incorporates offense and defense, what you want. You want offense and defense. But at the same time that you want that, you need to separate it. So you need the offensive component of WAR separated. And the reason you need that is because, look, there's some guys that have positive WAR numbers and are terrible hitters. They don't hit the ball for crap, but they're great on defense. So they accumulate a WAR number, but they can't hit. So when you start looking at it from that perspective, it becomes unique. And that's how I break it down. I break it down by here's your overall WAR, so it includes the defense. And then I separate the offense. And generally speaking, the offense should be way bigger than the normal WAR. So for example, if I were to pull up Team USA, we'll look at Puerto Rico in a second. But if I pull up Team USA and all the position players, their WAR total is 54.1. Now that's a lot, but it's 54.1. Their offensive WAR, 252.69. Holy blah. They can hit. This team is unbelievable, okay? And I know everybody's going to say, well, about the Dominican. Well, we'll talk about that. But if you go to Puerto Rico, for example, and here's the difference. Their total WAR right now, 6.9. I just said Team USA was 54 something. They're 6.9. 6.9. One player, Aaron Judge, beats all of those guys. Well, the whole team, Aaron Judge. And then their offensive WAR, you'll love this, Jeff. You know, with WAR, you can be positive and negative because the average will be zero. You're even with the replacement guy. Well, this team has one guy, Heliot Ramos. He's a positive WAR offensive player. 6.2 offensive WAR guy. Well, the whole team's negative 13.85 on offensive WAR. So what does that mean? That means they better be able to pitch because they can field probably. They can field. Well, their best pitcher is Seth Lugo. No, it's not bad. I mean, Seth Lugo's pretty good. And then you got, I don't know, guys you never heard of, Luis Quinones and Elmer Rodriguez and Rivera. Who are these guys? So they're at 2 on starting pitching. And relief pitching, they got 2 of the best in the game. They got Fernando Cruz and Edwin Diaz from the Dodgers. Well, those guys are never going to come in and save these games for this team. They can't hit. So what are they missing? Well, this is where you're missing Correa and Lindor and some of these other guys that could have changed that. But when you sit there and you go, okay, well, we're 6.9 WAR and we are minus 1385 on offensive WAR, they're only going to change that by a certain degree. Maybe it's 30 altogether between the two of those two players. Maybe it's 30 in offensive WAR. Okay, well, great. Now we're 15. You know where 15 gets you? 15 is like where is these guys? Let's go here. Canada. Team Canada, 14.4. They weren't going to compete anyway. So all these people that are talking, now they might have had some pitchers that didn't make it either, but you know, when you start talking about how this team sets out, Puerto Rico, they get to be a host city. That ought to be fun for them, all of that stuff. But so then the next step of this is to go and say, hey, I got all these teams. I understand where they are, and I'm almost done. And then you can start going, well, how's the brackets look and who plays who and what do the pools look like and who's going to come out of these pools. I don't remember what his name is, the sports writer from Detroit, John Paul Morosi, that's who it is. He had a thing on Twitter or on the show, I guess, last night. And his thing was his final four teams, obviously the USA's in there, Japan's in there, Dominican Republic's in there, and he had Italy. So here's Italy's numbers, because I was like, are you kidding me? Italy, 9.4 WAR, offensive WAR 14.9. That's but they can pitch a little. Maybe Aaron Nola's there is on that team. I don't know. Michael Lorenzen's on that team. He's going to pitch. So I don't know. But when you start to think about it, that's probably a little better than some of these other guys. Some of these other guys got a plumber. They ain't never pitched before. That's like Great Britain and Czechoslovakia and Australia. Those guys they do baseball part-time and do this other school teacher stuff and whatever. Those guys are going to go play. But what was interesting was, Adam Ottavino is going to play for this team, Italy. Greg Weissert, you know Weissert from Boston. He's going to play on this team. So I thought it was interesting. How in the hell are you going to pick this team to move forward to get to the end and be ahead of here's a team I don't think. Where is it?
Well, before I want to interject because again, I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Never mind 2 years ago, however long it was. Didn't Mexico have a nice run last year? I don't know what.
Mexico was in the Final Four.
What do they look like?
Mexico almost. That's the game I went to see. I saw Mexico play Japan. Japan had to win in the 9th inning to beat Mexico to move on. That's how close it was for Mexico to move forward. Now they had Sandoval was pitching for them, and Randy Arozarena was in his heyday, and running. Randy Arozarena was great. He's running around the outfield in cowboy boots that day. It was unbelievable. But Team Mexico is really good. But you know who else is really good? Team Venezuela is really good. Team Venezuela has Pablo Lopez. That's pretty good pitcher. And they have Ranger Suarez. That's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, holy crap, 1-2, pretty good. Eduardo Rodriguez, I don't know, but in this league and what they're doing, that's pretty good, right? So Kiero Montero, the guy that pitches for Detroit when they need a guy to come in and pitch, he actually, if you look at his numbers, terrible stuff, but he wins games. So he's going to pitch. I don't know what they're going to think of Antonio Sanzatella from Colorado. I mean, holy crap! And I know it's like, oh my god. And then they have Herman Marquez, same kind of concept, but he should do good there because he's that kind of thing. But they have Palencia, closer from Chicago. They have Jose Alvarado from Philadelphia, and a couple other guys. They got Zerpa, and whatever. But offensively, they got Ronald Acuna Jr. on this team. Ronald Acuna Jr. Here's their outfield. You'll like this: Acuna Jr., Churio, and Willie Abreu. That's a pretty good outfield.
No, that's a damn good outfield.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's not bad. Plus, they got Luis Ariz on this team. Luis Ariz. They got Sal Perez, William Contreras, the catcher, and his brother, right? Contreras. Gleyber Torres plays second, but this is a good team. So where this team is 32.9 more. Think about this now. 32.9 more for this team in the United States is 50 something. This team has 102 offensive WAR, almost 103, and the United States is 250. So the United States is twice as good as this team. Twice as good as this team. And here's the big deal, right? Everybody's going to go, and it's always, I see it everywhere. Oh, you're taking Team USA or you're taking Dominican Republic? All right, well, we'll just throw it out this way. Team USA, 54.1 WAR. Dominican Republic, 48.6. That's pretty close. It's not too bad. And then offensive WAR, Team USA, 252.69. That's pretty high. And then Dominican Republic, 234. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then starting pitchers. You'll love this. Starting pitchers. Now you got to remember, Team USA starting pitchers is Scooble. Let's listen to this: Scooble, Skeens, Logan Webb, Joe Ryan, Boyd from Chicago, McLean from the Mets, and Michael Waka. That's pretty good. They're 25.8 WAR for those guys. 25.8. And then you go to Dominican Republic. They got Sandy Alcantara. Well, a couple years ago that would have been better, but Sandy Alcantara, Brian Bayo, and then they got the good guy, Christopher Sanchez, and Luis Severino. Okay, 10.9 more. So this is where it gets blown up. So the Dominican can't pitch. Sure, we can put Christopher Sanchez in there. Well, Christopher Sanchez is a great pitcher. He doesn't match up to Skeens and Scooba. Why? He's not a super big strikeout guy. He's not a big, huge velocity guy. He's a I forget, it's a slider or a changeup or something. One of those pitches is what he's really good at. And then where I think this kind of turns for what Dominicans' plans are, they got relief pitchers out. The relief pitchers. Their relief pitchers is Utica from the Rays. Yeah, he's pretty good. They got Dominguez. He's now a White Sox. And then Brazoban, Willie Peralta, and then here you go. Dennis Santana, Doval, Uribe, Estevez, Soto. They can just start throwing guys in there. Bring. And you know, the American team, they have relief pitchers, but they're the relief pitchers for Dominican Republic total 15 WAR, and the relief pitchers for Team USA total 7. So it's and you know, whatever it is, what it is. So maybe their idea is, I hope to hell our pitcher doesn't get shelled by like a Team USA, and then all these guys can come in and keep us in the game, and our offense can do well. Is what I think, because eventually, and that's the way the bracket looks to me, is it's gonna on the one side you would have, in theory, you're gonna have Japan play Team Dominican Republic. On the other side, it's gonna be Team USA, and Team USA is gonna play against somebody, and that somebody could be Mexico, and it won't be Venezuela, because Venezuela's in the other brackets on the other side. They'd be theoretically knocked out before they get there, but Venezuela could beat the Dominican Republic in one game. Pablo Lopez get out there, throw really good, and Acuna have a great game or something. So it's going to be. I have no idea how John Pomerosi went and said Italy's going to get there. If you go look, because Mexico would be another team that could get there, and if I go find Mexico, I will tell you. Where am I at here? What's going on? I'm going the wrong way, Jeff. That's not good. I know what I'm doing. I'm hitting the wrong button. That's what I'm doing. And instead of switching to my pages, I'm adding a bunch of new pages. How about that? Tabs at the bottom. Mexico. They're there. So Mexico, 13.4 offensive WAR. Their best player, Alejandro Kirk. Oh no, that's regular WAR. 13 point and 25.7. They got Alejandro Kirk at 9 offensive WAR. Jonathan Aranda 9.5. Randy Arozarena 9.8. Your boy Duran at 7.9. And then a lot of guys kind of around the middle point. And again, they're going to have their biggest problem in Mexico is they've got a pitcher. Their best pitcher is Taj Bradley. I was just shocked that I see Taj Bradley's name on this list. But Taj Bradley, and then Taiwan Walker, Jose Urquidy, and Javier Assad. That's their pitchers. And then they got a couple guys, Anthony Munoz, Seattle's a bullpen guy. That's pretty good. But I just think that, that team sounds better than the Italy team to me. But whatever. I mean, I guess maybe Aaron Nola's supposed to go beat, Taj Bradley or something. I don't know.
Here's the funny on this is, again, spring training, pitchers and catchers report this coming week. before you start the spring training games, you're doing all your fundamentals, your drills, and whatever. You're going there to get loosened up, and then as the spring training games begin, Scotty Webb's going to go out and throw 2 innings, and he's going to work on his slider. His second start, he's going to go 3 or 4 innings and work on his fastball. And then they hope by the end of spring training, they can get the arm strength and the mentality and get you built up to that 5 or 6 innings. The problem with the WBC, and I like the way the Dominican Republic did it, because no one's going to match Scooble and Skeens. And then you said Logan Webb and Joe Ryan. At this point, I put probably Ryan just a click above Webb if I had to. Well, those are a toss-up. My point is, you're not handing the ball to Scooble or Skeens and say, all right, go give us 7 or 8. It's not going to happen. Maybe in the championship game, you're going to get 5 or 6 out of them, because I just know the owners and the managers, each name comes with a thumb tag here. And my point is, yeah, it's great to win the WBC, but if all of a sudden Tyreek Scooble or Paul Skeens, he's got 60 innings, I'm just being fabricated here, of course, but they got, 40 innings on that arm taxed before they even get to the that's danger zone. So if you got to listen, let's get through the order the first time. Get me through the start of the second time. We got a good back end. So the thought from the DR is, we can't match Scooble Skeens. We can match Webb. We can match Joe Ryan. But my point is, our strength's in the back end, Scotty.
Yeah, there's no question. And there's no question. I think so. So when you think about numbers of pitches and where these guys go and what they're doing, the players that are in the WBC and the teams that almost all these teams got players in them. I don't remember what the number was, like 300 Major League Baseball players, or maybe more than that, going to and playing in this. So the actual reporting dates are about a week earlier. So it gives them an extra week to get more prepared and to get more length on their arm, if you want to say that. But I don't think you're going to see, a more than 4 inning start from Skeen, say the first time he goes. The next time he goes, it'll be important. But the first time he goes against Great Britain, who gives a shit? It's just a workout, whatever. Great Britain's not going to be able to hit, Brazil or whoever they're playing, guys you never heard of before. Then he's just going to go out there and throw it past them. And he'll look like, he'll look like I don't know, Hades or something, some Greek god out there, and the ball goes by all these guys. So I think when you think about what's going on here, he'll pitch the 4 innings. And maybe they go and say, "Hey, you didn't pitch enough. I didn't give you 5 innings." But the next time he goes, I think they'll want him to go at least 5, and see where he's at. In terms of number of pitches, because that'll be the important game. That'll be the game where he's trying to close out these games, semifinals, finals, between him and Scooble. Those 2 guys will be there. They won't start more than 2 games. And they have enough starting pitchers that you can back them. So what's really cool is I don't think Nolan McLean's going to start a game, but he's got great starting stuff. And I think he's going to come in and back some of these games with these guys. And that's their philosophy. Their philosophy is, I'll go 4 with this guy and 4 with this guy and bring in a relief guy. 4 with this guy, 4 with this guy, bring in a relief guy, or whatever. And I think that's going to be kind of how that works for Team USA. So in combination or combating what Dominican's doing, they got starters out the bazooka. And the starters are really, really, really good guys. And a variety of different stuff. I mean, Michael Walker is not the same as, some of these other guys, but he's still great and his own right of what he does. I think as we, it's a round robin thing. So there's 5 teams. So they're going to play 4 games against those guys. And then they got to play a play-in game, a semifinal and a final. So, they're going to play 7 games, maybe 8 games in 11 days or something like that. So as it turns out, those guys, the Paul Skeens is in the Scoobles, they're only going to pitch twice. And when they pitch twice, I think they're going to be sitting there going, we got, I don't know, 50 pitches the first time, maybe. And then they try to stretch it out to 60, 65 the second time, maybe they try to get a fifth inning out of it. Just remember, the rule of thumb is 15 pitches per inning. So, if you got 4 innings, that's 60 pitches, so 5 innings is 75. But if, these guys can't hit the ball and you're just throwing 10 pitches an inning, bing, 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 throwing it past them, that's a whole different other thing. But the second time they pitch, they'll face guys that can at least foul the ball off and hit the ball. So it'll be sort of and here's one of the things I did, just so that everybody knows, and this is one of the things I put in the new Substack thing. It's very difficult to let's say it this way. So when I measure everybody by WAR, right? How are you going to measure a guy that's a plumber by WAR? Well, you're not. You're just going to say you're not worth a replacement player. You're at least a 0. That's where you're a 0. Perfect. No, not big problem. Well, what about these Japanese players? They're not going to show up with a WAR either, but they play in a fairly good quality league. It's better than the KBO, for example. And you've seen that these guys come over here and they play a better brand than the KBO guys. And they've had reasonable success. Maybe not so much the hitters, but Seiya Suzuki's done okay. Ichiro did great. The guy that played for the Yankees, he did really good. The King Kong first base guy, whatever his name is. So we've had some successful Japanese hitters. So how do you relate what their quality is? Because the truth of the matter is you got to give them some value that's not a goddamn 0. Excuse my language. It's got to be not a 0, because they're going to be better than that. So me and the AI really spent a lot of time working on that last night, and I got a 5-step. Matsui, there you go. I got a 5-step process to take data from their league and then apply it and go, this is what it equates to in Major League Baseball. So it's one thing to sit there and go, well, these are the numbers, and that's their WAR. Well, that's maybe their WAR number for that league. Now we got to adjust it to this league. So because that's the comparison level. So it was a look, I was up till 1:00 in the morning working on this stuff last night. So it's a big exercise and it's a big deal, but I think I got it mostly right. And I will tell you this, Team Japan, oh, come on, man. Don't do that to me again. Team Japan, where did they go? There they are. Team Japan shows up 28.7 WAR. So, and then 151 on offense. And their starting pitchers, now you got to remember, Shohei Ohtani is not allowed to pitch in this. He's not pitching in this. He's only hitting. So you lose a big starting pitcher there. But they got a guy, I don't know what his first name is. It begins with an H. Let's just put it that way, because that's how I do it. I don't put their full name. Ito, Itoh. He won their equivalent of the Cy Young for that league, and he's pitching in this competition with Yamamoto and Yusei Kikuchi and Kitayama. They can pitch, and they've always been able to pitch, and that's what they've been really good at in this league, in this thing with clutch hitting and stuff. And Seiya Suzuki is playing. The guy that signed with the White Sox, Murakami's playing. The guy that signed with the Toronto Blue Jays, Okamoto, he's playing. The guy in Boston, Yoshida, is going to play. Otani's going to hit. So those are the only players MLB hitting-wise that are going to play. They do have a couple other guys. There's a guy, what's his name? Maki, who plays second base, is a pretty good hitter, but I don't know these guys' names. Kenodo, he can hit. So they got some guys that can hit that are going to be pretty good. So again, Japan's going to be another team that they might not stack up to Dominican Republic. They might not stack up to Team USA in terms of offense, but if their pitchers pitch and hold down the other offense, I think they'll be in better shape. And I always remember this, you know this, early in the season, especially in spring training, pitchers are ahead of hitters. Pitchers are ahead of hitters. Why is that? Well, the reason is because batters need somewhere between 50 and 100 at-bats to get the timing of the pitches down. That's what it takes, 50 to 100. And when you don't have them, you get 4 here, 4 here, 4 here, 4. You know, it's not going to be the same. So that throws big wrinkles in this tournament as far as I'm concerned. You can sit there and tell me all you want to about how great Team USA is and Team Dominican Republic is, but their timing's all off. Holy shit, they ain't going to hit the ball anyway.
We talked an hour just on that. Our love affair for baseball is endless. I have an 11 o'clock appointment coming up here, but I want to say your final thoughts on the Super Bowl. Take it away.
Yeah, I think it's a interesting game. I talked yesterday about how I think the flow of the game is going to go, and I think that's an important thing for you to figure out, because then that helps you with your determinations of what you want to do. My thoughts of the game is that it's a control-based game. It's a defense-disciplined game. There's going to be very low amounts of explosive plays, limiting explosive plays, that kind of stuff. I think that after doing some research and doing some other stuff, I think there's going to be value to Sam Darnold in terms of his experience, as opposed to Drake May and his youthfulness. Now, that's not telling you he's not a better player. I'm just saying that I think the experience factor is going to matter, because the windows you need to throw into against Seattle are so small. He can't afford to make those mistakes, and I don't know what he's ready for, what he's not ready for. He hasn't shown to be ready for much other than, and then defensively, I think you're going to have to really do a lot to what I call cap the offense for Seattle. I think that it's I shouldn't say it this way, but I think it's easier for Seattle to cap the offense for New England. So that said, I guess the way I see it is it's going to be harder for New England to score than it is for Seattle to score. The line's 4.5, whatever the number is, moving up to 5. So I think that's probably a very fair number, to be honest. I think it really is. I think that the total's probably a very fair number at that number. But what I bet was where I think the exploits can be. And what does that mean? Well, I think the exploits can be is that I think Seattle can theoretically win by touchdown. And I don't think anybody would argue with that. But at the same time, you could sit there and say, well, I think New England can cover. I think they can too. But if I was going to sit there and go, what's the exploit? I think the exploit is New England almost has to play a perfect game to win and a slightly perfect game to cover. So I'm going to take the other side that says I don't necessarily need to play a perfect game. I just need to be the Seahawks. So I chose Seattle. The number I got was great. It's -4. I would, -4.5 is fine. When I'm looking at and I played it under the number I got is 46. I think you can still get 45.5. I think it's going to go down to 45. I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong. But it takes a lot of money to move Super Bowl numbers. So 40. I think it'll probably get there. I think it's going to be 5 and 45, something like that. That's what I think. So if you like that side, you've got to do things now. If you like the under, you got to do things now. And then I did one kind of a exotic bet, if you want to call it that. I took Seattle -6.5. So I took an alt line -6.5. Obviously, I bet less on that number, but I got +135. So it's my +135. I like that. I was really looking to get. I saw China, the guy on Twitter who's a professional gambler. He put, I don't know, $190,000, $130,000, something on Seattle money line. I was going to do that, but the number that I keep getting, and the number that I was looking at the time was minus 210. Well, minus 210 equates to minus 4, minus 4.5, minus 5. So there's no value to do it that way. And you're going to obviously lose a lot of money. Well, he got plus minus 190. I'm like, well, shit, if I could have got 190, I would have done that. I wouldn't have put that much money on it because I don't have that much money, but I would have done that. I would have bet the money line at that. Look, if you can get Seahawks minus 200, minus 190, and I don't think you're ever going to see that price, but if you can get that, because I think he got it in an exchange someplace or somewhere. I don't know where he got it from, but that's the idea. Those guys have the ability to make these wagers at places that I don't have connections to. But anyway, that said, he made that bet. I thought it was a great bet. I was looking to do that just to back up some of the other stuff that I have out there, and you're correlated together. And then the other correlation, I would throw these 3 prop bets out there. I didn't bet them. My AI really likes them, but I didn't bet them because I don't like to bet these kind of bets. But anyway, JSN over 93.5, and it might not be 93 anymore, but that was at the time 93.5 yards. Sam Darnold over 1.5 touchdowns, and Drake May under passing yards, whatever it is right now. It was like 220, 223 the last time I saw. So anyway, those are my thoughts. That's how I played the game. And guys, look, a couple just side notes. And if people are still watching, I don't know. We're not getting comments anymore. We need questions. We need comments. We need things going on this channel. Look, baseball's coming. You're going to have to ask me lots of different things. Sign up to the Substack. It's free. Just go click on the link. Go to my Twitter page. Just click it. You'll just go right there. You'll start getting stuff. So today might be the first day because I'm going to put some stuff in there. Anyway, and one of the things I've noticed in looking at the results of our shows, we might get 50 people, we might get 70, we might get 100 watch our shows. A lot of people put the little hearts on there. I don't give a shit about the little hearts. Retweet the show. Send it out to people we don't know. Let other people see us. And you guys are the people that help us do that. So ask questions. Do the different things. I didn't get one question about Super Bowl. I didn't get one comment about, hey, you're stupid or this, that, or that. I didn't get none of that. And I always do. People come on here and go, that's stupid. Or they come in and go, well, I don't understand this or understand that. Look, I'm going to use terminology in baseball you won't know. I guarantee it. Ask about it so that you do know. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Retweet stuff. Quit just liking it. It's good to like it, but just retweet it. Go sign up for the YouTube channel. I'm going to tell you this special note. The baseball stuff you're going to see on this channel, between Jeff and I, look, it's going to be the best you'll see anywhere. I don't care. You can put us up against anything. We will be the best baseball show, the best channel that you ever will come to. I guarantee it. We got a lot of things in the plans for that. So anyway, point being is we've done this a lot, and baseball is certainly the passion.
Me and Scotty will be back on Monday. We're going to do a recap of the Super Bowl, MVP, champs, winners, losers, and then we're going to figure out our schedule moving forward as he's doing all this WBC work and, of course, his MLB work. And as you can tell, listen, we talked the first hour about baseball, guys, and I know everyone watching and listening here knows this, but I'm just going to reiterate it. Our passion, our love affair is baseball. Okay, I live 10, 15 minutes from three Cape League teams. Okay, where do I spend my summers? Watching the kids, watching Cape League baseball. I don't need to go to Fenway Park. I got the kids ready to go to Fenway Park here on the Cape for the summer, whether I'm in Katuitt, whether I'm in Hyannis, whether I'm in YD, Falmouth, Brewster, Chatham, Orleans. It's endless. Bourne. Okay, guys? We eat, sleep, drink, shit baseball, okay? And if you watch social media, these guys are just going through the motions. What Scotty said is so true, okay? And I know the reason the numbers are down for the Super Bowl, Scotty. I'll tell you why. A, it's the second week. It's an off week. Everyone's heard enough about the Super Bowl. And number two, everyone's already made up their mind. It's the big game. It's like a title fight. It's like the NCAA championship in basketball. It's like the NCAA championship in football. I don't need anyone else's opinion to formulate my thoughts. This is who I like. This is who I'm going to wager. So, again, everyone, thank you so much. We'll be back on Monday around 9:30. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, DC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby 20 MLB. We wish everyone a blessed day. We wish everyone a great, great weekend. Enjoy the big game. Locally, people, 3 to 5, 5 to 8 inches of snow on the Cape tomorrow, and then Arctic below zero on Sunday. So get your Super Bowl stuff done today. You can just sit home and go back out on Monday. Take care and stay tuned.